Hello everybody and welcome to My Hero Academia chapter number 366 review. This chapter is titled Full Moon. Now, in the grand scheme of talking about My Hero Academia, we're at chapter number 366. But last time was chapter 365, and really what happened last time is Shigaraki with his growth quirk sorta looking thingy. He summoned pretty much images of his family through this growth extension quirk thing, right? And this chapter starts off with narration, pretty much. It pretty much starts off saying Tomura Shigaraki's body was groping around for an optimal form. That optimal form seemed to be a bloated mass of fingers, forever seeking destruction. A form that overwhelmed the world around him. But the hero's bested that form. Thanks to erasure, he could heal the accumulating body damage, and all of the stress that was affecting his mind gnawed away at his essence. So, he created a new idea form, just for this particular moment, right? And as we see all of this, we see that instead of this massive growth quirk that Shigaraki has been using for the past however many chapters this arc has been going on for, we see that he now has this new form mainly focused on defense, right? He's pretty much got a bunch of fingers just clasps around him, right? And these hands are just bulking him up to give him more armor. I mean, he's got that one part of his head that has hair coming out of it and the other part's burnt, right? Like that burnt part has a hand reaching over from it, and his mouth sort of has like hands growing out of the side of it, wrapping around to help cover his mouth, so we only really see Shigaraki's eyes, right? And then we see his hand, and on his like actual hand that he uses to do stuff, we see this is where the vestiges of his family are sort of being put on his hand. You know what I'm saying? These faces that Shigaraki has. Pretty much we just have a small little fight scene with Miriko trying to fight Shigaraki and really failing. Mirio tries to do some stuff, and he just gets overwhelmed by this new type of Shigaraki. Togeda sees all of this, and he's just like, nah, Mirio Togeda. No, I'm Tamaki, Sun Eater. Sun Eater sees all this, and he's like, oh my gosh, what's going on, right? Nejire comes on, tries to attack, and pretty much the big three is just getting absolutely destroyed again, right? Like, they cannot catch a break whatsoever, right? And as Mirio's just like, hey, knock it off, Shigaraki says, he's just like, I now know that you have nothing, right? And we see this panel, a few panels of Mirio, where he's just like, I'm on my own, it's not even worth the time, and he's just sitting there, and he's just like, damn it, why does it have to be like this? As the Shigaraki clone comes back up, and he's like, you don't get to fix what I already broke. As they go over towards Best Jeanist, and of course Bakugo, who has Edgeshot trying to fix them all up. And we see Best Jeanist is trying to do the best that he can, control his steel fibers around Shigaraki, wrap him up into a cage, sort of, as he's thinking, that's clearly a defensive form, one that rejects everything. And Yatri says out loud, that's the conclusion you've come to, is it? As we see that he tries to enclose Shigaraki in this barrier of steel cables, and it doesn't work whatsoever. Shigaraki comes out, makes a lunge toward Togeda, and Togeda just looks around. He sees Best Jeanist trying his all. He sees Tamaki pretty much knocked out on the ground. We see Nejire just there, completely getting destroyed, and we also see Miriko, who's just knocked completely out. And again, Mirio's just like, damn it, this is it? Is this really? And he thinks back to Sir Night-Eye on his deathbed, the last thing that Night-Eye said. And he says, you'll make a fine Hiruto, Togeda. And he's sitting there thinking, he's like, is this really the future that you saw out of me? Right? And then we see one of the wild pussycats, like Mandalay, if I'm not mistaken, right? She says some stuff, telepathically to everybody, and she's like, drop the electromagnetic barrier just for a moment. 2 seconds. Keep him busy for just 2 seconds. And everybody's just like, why? What's going on? And they're like, I don't know if we can really hold him for 2 seconds. It's almost like that's an eternity, right? As we see Mirio's there, and he's just standing there, and he's just thinking, how do I spare 2 seconds? What do I have in my arsenal? I need him to be focused on me. I need this. And he thinks back to Sir Night-Eye again. And he thinks to Sir Night-Eye's mantra. Always keep smiling. A world without smiles and humor has nothing. And he looks. And pretty much he thinks of this plan. And he uses his permeation quirk to dive deep under the ground. And then he uses his permeation to get underground and launch himself back up. But first, as he proclaims, full moon rise into night. And of course, this has kept Shigaraki's attention for these 2 seconds, as we cut to a double page spread of Shigaraki just standing there. His whole entire body clasps with hands, right? And as he's here, we see that Deku is here. He uses his black whip to attach it to the beams that are around to push himself in, and him and Shigaraki just lock eyes. Deku's got this very menacing grin on his face, and Shigaraki is there. We sort of get the most Shigaraki looking like moment we've seen this entire chapter, with his eyes. Their eyes just connect as Shigaraki's got these fingers all clasping his face. And next thing we know, Deku comes through, probably uses Fa-Jin, and just comes through and yells smash as he just comes through and obliterates Shigaraki, right? And at that point, that is the end of the chapter. Now, when all things are said and done, I really enjoy this chapter. As a chapter in the grand place of my hero, to be honest, this may be one of the best chapters we've gotten out of the war so far, right? Say whatever you want to about it. I mean, it's all something, right? I really like this look of Shigaraki's new form to start off with, right? I really love that this is a defensive form, that Shigaraki is just using the hands. And of course, hands have always been a massive thing with Shigaraki. I mean, the hands of his family were always clasped around him to pretty much show what he was made of in a way, right? I think it's a very, like, interesting visual all around, and I mean, only thing that would sort of make it a bit better in my opinion is if he had one hand on his face like he always did in the beginning. It's just really good overall. I love the design. The next really big thing about this was the whole full moon rising with Togeda, right? I really like his sort of plight of he's just like, damn it, what is this going on, right? We can't do anything. 2 seconds? How are we supposed to last for 2 seconds? Literally everybody else is done for. Bakugo's hero on the ground, dead, somehow getting repaired and everything. And I really like that we call back to Mirio's backstory with Sir Night-Eye, and Sir Night-Eye's whole ideal of, hey, I may be able to see the future, but change the future that I've made for you, right? I enjoy it so incredibly much, and as somebody who thinks that my hero has really degraded here these past few years, not to the heights that it was, especially during the sports festival, and, well, I can't really say that. I mean, I always feel that my heroes had a very good storyline throughout. I mean, the whole Stain stuff, school festival, and all of that is really good, and then Battle Arc. What's it called? School Battle? Oh, jeez, why am I forgetting my Hero Arc names? But that happens, and eventually you get to, like, the stuff with, like, the licensing exam, which I'm not really that much of a fan of. Then you get to the Shihai Saikai stuff, which this is all based off of, and having Night-Eye come in here and sort of play a role of, hey, Mirio, be a hero that makes everybody smile, right? It works so perfectly well in a way that this is Mirio's character. He's a character who's going to save 1 million people. 1 million. I mean, that's his hero name. And as somebody who lost his quirk, has it back thanks to Eri and everything, it's just a really good moment that shows what can happen. And it does. It stalls Shigaraki for these last 6 pages. I mean, this chapter's only 15 pages, and literally a third of the pages in this chapter are double page spreads and single page spreads. I mean, the way it looks is so beautiful. Like, Horikoshi is a great artist who can have this here of just, like, you can tell the rain is falling down, being that was pointed out whenever Bakugo died, and Deku just coming in armed and ready to fight Shigaraki. It's just a really beautiful image, and then the two images of their eyes locking together, it is a moment that has to be done well in the anime. And then following that with Deku just coming down and wrecking Shigaraki while, of course, using all of his quirks in his arsenal. It's just really good. Next time, of course, we'll be covering chapter 367. It's going to be really interesting how Deku sees a fallout of this battle. I mean, of course, we've had a Mirio moment, and I don't really know how much Mirio is going to do, but from what it seems like it'll be now, it'll be Deku versus Shigaraki. But then again, how many other conflicts do we have going on around the entire scope of My Hero? Dobby's still up, right? We still got all of the Toga stuff. I mean, this battle is not even halfway done. It is just getting started in a way still, right? Got all of the All for One and Endeavor stuff. I mean, we still have so much that we need to cover in, because Horikoshi has often said that, he was looking to go one more year of My Hero at the beginning of this year. I'm pretty sure by this point, there has been another interview coming out and saying that, yeah, he's going to need a bit more time. So the way I'm looking at this is, we maybe have another 10 months left of My Hero, right? I think we may make it to chapter 400 in the series will end off there, right? That's still plenty of material to cover this in. If we've got the final fight sort of going on between Shigaraki and Deku, I mean, I know the final fight has always sort of been set up to be, alright, it's going to have to be All for One because Shigaraki needs to get saved by Deku. Whatever you say about that, but, I mean, is All for One going to be interesting enough to make it that far? I mean, really. I mean, it's also sort of heavily pointed out that he and his rewinded body is not going to last long in the grand scope of things, so is Shigaraki going to have to die? I mean, how is this all going to work? Is Tenko going to come back? I mean, we still got a long time to tell, and all in all, I think this chapter was great. I think the title should have been Full Moon Rising, but hey, Full Moon's a fine chapter title, and with all of that said, I think it's going to be out for me. Again, this is My Hero Academia, chapter number 366, titled Full Moon, and I'll see you next time. This will be Glowplasma231 out.